Hey everybody, Jillian here. Welcome back to my channel. I thought it would be fun today to share another sermon notes in my traveler's notebook today. So I am a few weeks behind, which is okay. I usually am. But I am going to just transfer some notes in here from Mother's Day into my TN here. Before I do that, let me go ahead and get this guy out and share with you what I plan to use and kind of how I came to those decisions. So really the first thing that stood out to me were these washi tapes that I had on my desk. I've got a little stash of revival camp stuff hanging out, and this one actually my friend Kristen gave me. The title of the sermon is Shapeshifter, and this washi tape has all these fun different shapes, kind of like little amoeba looking things. So I really want to use this one, and then liked these tans and neutrals and decided to jump off from here. So I have this library card notepad from Kate at the Adopt Shop. This came home with me from sister camp, which was so fun. So I knew I wanted to use those two things. And in the sermon notes, the theme of her sermon was, "Where the clay, he's the potter." So I found this stamp set from the Created to Create 2 devotional kit that Illustrated Faith did with Dayspring. I don't think it's available anymore, but it had this perfect sentiment here, "We are the clay." And then I looked through some bits and pieces that I had left over from that and found this 4x6 card, so I'm going to plan on working this in with all of the neutrals into my spread somehow. And because I just came home from sister camp and I got to sit next to Vanessa Walker, I found this piece of scrap fabric, and in her honor, and I'm going to try and make it work in my spread today. It was so fun to get to sit next to her and Kristen, two of the fabric queens in our community. Then I just got the Joy Journey stamp set from Illustrated Faith. I love everything in here, but especially want to use the art marks today. I've got some black Florence alphas from Bella Boulevard, and then I want to use patterned paper on one side of my spread because I don't have that many notes. So I have the Sunny Days collection from Maggie Holmes. I thought the colors would go well. And then I have my eye on this one from the Hooray collection from Crate Paper. And then just a couple other options because I don't want to get up once I'm started. Another couple 12x12 sheets from Maggie Holmes' Sunny Days collection. So I know that's more than I need, and I think that's all that I'm going to use for today. So I'll go ahead and get started. Alright, so on the back side of this one page, there's some bleed through from my Stays On ink, and that's the side I'm going to cover up with this spotty dot piece of patterned paper from the Crate Paper Hooray collection. It's not quite big enough to cover the whole sheet, but I'm going to use some washi tape to fill in the space. I also want to put patterned paper on that side because there are a lot of dimensional things on that side, and it's just easier to not try and write on top of it. So I'm going through this 12x12 sheet of cut aparts from Maggie Holmes, and I'm just cutting out things that are again in that neutral color scheme and that I think I might want to use as layering bits on my spread. So I'm going to go ahead and get this guy taped in there. And I'm going to leave the extra room up at the top and then go ahead and trim off the excess here. I'm going to use the tan colored map print washi tape that is in the Illustrated Faith Revival Camp Old Testament kit. And I'm just going to put that underneath the patterned paper, trim off the excess, and keep layering. I've got this amoeba washi I'm going to put up towards the top, and then I'll layer this little itty bit of a scrap on top of there. And then I decided to use the library card piece, but it got cut off. So I went ahead and wrote out Jeremiah 18, 3-4 on the card, but the whole passage that we were looking at was Jeremiah 18, 1-6, when God tells Jeremiah to go down to the potter's house. So I'm thinking here about layering this craft colored piece underneath with some washi tape, but I don't really like the way that it looks. It's very brown and not my favorite. So I'm going to think about that and then go ahead and bunch some of this fabric up and then get it to stay together bunched up with my tiny attacher. I don't have a sewing machine, but if I did, this will be a great place to use it. I'm just going to use the tiny attacher for everything. I really like the sentiment on this card. I don't like that it's so bright and colorful because it's really the only bright and colorful thing on this spread. So you're going to see me kind of go back and forth trying to use this. But I do like the black polka dot border, so I'm going to put that a couple places on this spread. But I'm still trying to make this other card work. I end up not being able to use both pieces. We are the potter. We are the clay, he is the potter. So I'm just going to use this one up towards the top. My process is just me moving a lot of things around. Still trying to make this card work. And then in the end, I'm just going to go ahead and stamp down this sentiment, we are the clay, with StazOn on top of the patterned paper underneath this little fabric ruffle. The tape runner, it wouldn't stay with the tape runner, so I'm going to go in later with the tiny attacher and staple the fabric to the paper. And then I'm going to go ahead and start on the notes side of my page here. So I put down some washi tape to anchor the card up in the top right, and then I'm using the Joy Journey stamp set to stamp down in a few places because I've learned that if I don't put some of those things in first, I'm just going to fill up the whole page with words, which isn't bad, but I also want it to look cute, right? So I'm going to use the black Florence Alpha stickers from Bella Boulevard to number the points in the sermon. And so our pastor's wife mentioned when she read this passage, you know, these were the things that she journaled that jumped out at her. And 1 through 5, she realized that we are the clay, we need to get in the potter's hands, so we need to get on the wheel and stay there. It's a process, being the clay in his hands. It's going to be painful, and it can help us help others. So fortunately I had just enough room for all 5 things, and then you'll see here that I like to stagger the numbers when I'm journaling, but where I'm going to put the 3, there's writing on the other side of it, and it would be difficult to read it easily based on how on where it's placed. So I'm going to take some washi tape and layer a few pieces together to kind of break that up so that it's a little easier to read when you look at it. And if you're interested in checking out the sermon, I'll link it in the video description below. I'm going to write a note to myself to make sure to include it because I'm so bad at remembering. Okay, I'm on to the 5th point, but before I write anything down, I want to be sure to get some of this washi tape down on the bottom to kind of round it out. So I'm doing that first before writing my notes, and I had just enough room. Alright, so I'm going to use this scrap in one more place and just layer it behind this card. I'm so glad I did that because there's just a lot of white happening up there, and then I'm going to put some more washi tape and some stamps up there and then cover it. I'm just looking to see where I can fill in some spaces here, and I decided to use this Neo Color 2 crayon to just draw some crosses around the spread. And then I thought it would be fun to take a little bit more fabric and put it to the left of that card. But I think I did that off camera. So here it is. Here's a finished look at my spread. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to leave me a comment below. And I've got all of the supplies that I could find that I used linked down in the video description below too for you. I hope you have a great rest of your weekend, and I'll see you soon.